Hello everyone. So today I wanted to do a fortress and make it look as realistic and dystopian as possible. If you'd like to know how I did it, keep watching. So I'll start off using the mixer brush and getting rid of what's already there, and then I start to build my shape. And because I'm doing a fortress, I just want it to be a nice big blocky thing, almost as big as the mountains. If you're wondering how I did the straight lines, then that's shift and the left mouse button, and then you just drag whilst holding down shift. The next thing I do is I do a clipping mask and then bring in my my buildings texture and just paste that in and make smaller ones for the skyscrapers below and stuff like that, just to make it look a little bit more realistic. This bit was fun. I had to do the wall that goes around the fortress, and so yeah, just did a black line, did a clipping mask, brought in a wall texture, and then using the mixer brush and playing around, managed to make it look convincing and mossy enough to look real. My next phase was to use shadows and play around with the blending settings to create realistic looking shadows. I also used the loop cut tool and the polygony tool, how you pronounce that, just to put in the shadow where I needed it and to start building up all the contrast of this fortress. Now I decide to do atmospheric perspective, where I get a sample of the sky and create a separate layer and blur that out to just create a bit of distance between where the person's looking and how far away the fortress actually is. I also played around with the mixer brush to make a few imperfections around the wall. I also used the clone brush tool as well. So by pressing Control on the fortress layer, I was able to isolate the fortress and then work behind it, technically, using the clone brush to create the mountainside again out the back. And then I kind of like cover this up a little bit with more atmospheric perspective, which I again take the sample color from the sky, and using a soft brush I can paint it just over, like reducing the opacity to, I don't know, like 50%. And it creates a really believable, misty looking effect. So after that, I work in the mixer brush and work on those shadows and just try and sort of make the rest of the scene blend in. As you can see, I'm also doing the highlights, which is a nice easy thing to do. Just reduce the size of the soft brush, pick the lightest version of the colour, so select the colour that you're going to draw on, then pick the lighter version of that, and that's basically how I do it. And it's very quick to give you a really good effect. And then, yes, I play around with the colours and try and get myself like a very good dystopian looking scene. You can see me doing the white tops of the cliffs as well, of the mountains, and that came out really well. I was very proud of that. Putting in roads now. I actually changed this because I find a very good image of a traffic jam, and I decided to use that instead, but I use this as kind of like a basis for it. So putting in the shadows where the light isn't slightly hitting, so it looks like the road slightly concaved a bit. And then, yes, then I find this traffic jam and I have to think how I'm going to blend it into the picture, or the composition, as some people like to call it, which is what it is. So anyway, I picked the blend mode that works for me, picked normal, reduced it to 49%, and just played around, eventually landing on, you know, something that just worked, something that just made it fit. It was tricky having to recreate a car, but again, it kind of adds to the painterly feel of the whole thing. So the idea was to put the cars in as they are, then draw a load of grass around them and mud and all that sort of stuff, and then work in some dents and make the cars look like they've been there for decades. So doing the dents is actually a lot easier than you think. You just make a sort of darkish mark, then you get a sort of base color from your vehicle or whatever it is you're using, and you place that into the dent, and then where the dent is more prominent, like hitting the sun, then you'll use the lighter version of that color to do that, and it just makes very effective looking dents. I also enjoyed copying and pasting these lampposts because I just thought that just added to the believability of a highway. To get the bushes, if you're interested, it was just a brush, a hedge brush, that kind of thing. And I don't tend to use them that often, but I'm going to from now on because I'm quite impressed with them, and I could probably have gone further. So yeah, in filters I picked watercolor after I'd picked the stylize and changed it to oil. So if you want to try that, that's always fun. Go to filter up in the top, go down to stylize, and then you can go down to oil paint. That's always good fun. After that, I like to go to the filter gallery and pick watercolor and play around with those filters as well to try and sort of break up a lot of the things that make it look too much like the original photo. These are all the buildings on the outside of the fortress that have fallen down, and I had to think about the shadows that would be cast by the sun. That's me putting in some more atmospheric perspective, and it just helps because you can like do it, and then to get rid of all the harsh layers you can go to filter and go down to blur and then Gaussian blur and blend out the harsh edges when you've done them with the polyagonal tool. Here are the dents I'm talking about. So it's just a dark blob and then a slightly darker version of the colour of the thing you're making the dent on, and then highlight with a very thin white around the edges that would be catching the sun, and it's very quick and easy to make a very believable dent. So just playing around with the filters, just try and find, you know, the look I'm going for. Putting in some God rays, playing around with the opacity because I want the focus on the fortress. Now I'm doing a shadow that would be getting cast by the fortress, and again then you go to filter, Gaussian blur, and just sort of fade that out a little bit. It's always good to convert things to a smart object as well, because then you can undo it if you haven't done a good job of it. And here's the finished article. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and you can let me know what you think in the comments below. I also write on Amazon. I write science fiction and horror. So apologies if you don't like that, and if you do like that, go and check them out. I'll see you later. Bye.